There's some ways that people can, I mean, that again, we're talking kind of about reframing, but are there any other strategies where, in fact, here's another one, the fear of failure. It's not only dealing with failure, but dealing with the fear. So you haven't even failed yet, but you've got this very visceral concern that it might happen. What are some ways that people can step in before and can be better at reframing after?
Yeah, so I think before you have to look at where that's coming from. Because that fear is coming from someplace, and often it's someone external to you. So I'll use some examples from my own coaching world. Is I've worked with athletes who are adults, who are college age high performers, who would be lights out when we traveled and their parents weren't there, but at a home competition would just choke because their parents were there. And what you realized is, tying back to that youth sports thing, is they had this fear of failure coming up because they wanted to impress their mom or dad so much, because their mom or dad essentially validated them through their athletic performance. So in that case, what do you have to do? You have to say, okay, how do we detach this a little bit? How do we create a little bit of space? Okay. And actually, the research, whether it's from parent or not, where it comes from matters. The other part is, again, how do we create space there? There's research that shows that while caring deeply about a pursuit is important to get you driven, if you care so deeply that it becomes essentially a unidimensional self, meaning I am a writer and that is all I am, we're going to experience fear of failure at a much higher rate and choke at a higher rate.
It's like investing your entire stock portfolio into one company.
Bingo. So what do you have to do in stocks? You diversify. It's the same when it comes to your sense of self and failure. So again, research tells us is if you have what psychologists call self-complexity, meaning you recognize and realize that, maybe you're a dad, you're a husband, you're a runner, you're a writer, you're a creative. You have all these different facets, and all will vary in their importance, but all are a part of you. Then if you fail at one, you're going to be more resilient and bounce back quicker. This is why there's research that shows that athletes with hobbies tend to be more resilient under pressure than athletes who don't have hobbies. It's why, if you look at, there's a long study on Nobel Prize winning scientists that found that Nobel Prize winning scientists were more likely to have a serious hobby or leisure activity than those who were a rung or two below, who never reached that top.
Wow.
And part of it is because it makes you more resilient, because, again, it's not the end of the world. It hurts a lot, but it's not the end of the world.
So it brings your level of focus down into that Goldilocks zone, the
Bingo.
amount of pressure that you've put on yourself. Yeah, fascinating, man. I mean, God, how counterintuitive in many ways as well. And this is where I'm increasingly sort of becoming disenchanted with the hard work fixes all ills approach, that just working harder, bro, a lot of the time results in you making your performance worse and creating these odd psychological scars or perspectives of how you see the thing that you do. And what you actually need to do is to smoke some weed and play Nintendo Switch. That would be highly rejuvenative for you. Or you need to take up some sort of a hobby. You need to diversify that self-worth. I love it.